I'm Sid, and these are my best friends. My mom, Kim, my dad, Ty, and my sister, Maddie, who before starting her own adventure, joined us in rocking out a state-of-the-art refit on our floating home. Now, we're ready to set sail to die with memories, not dreams, and live dauntless.
Hey guys, today we are on Dave and Colleen's Leopard 50, our friends in Fort Pierce, and they are doing a sea trial for their boat because they got a brand new in-boom furling mainsail, as well as a brand new Code Zero, and they are going to test everything out and see how it rolls today. So we're going to take you along and see how it goes.
Hey, bro, don't you look at that? I said, my friend, what you looking at? I think she is.
All right, so the folks that made this really cool in-boom furling sail happen is Mac Sails that are in South Florida here, and Richard is one of their awesome riggers that actually put this together. And if you want to follow his sailing adventures, you can catch him on Sailing the Rhino on Instagram in his 88 Beneteau 430 with the full restoration. It's pretty cool. Check it out.
Something for me. Excuse me, miss, it's my first time here.
Here's Red Bridge. Sailing California, Catamaran, Namahoy, North. We're going to be with you for the opening of Top of the Hour.
If I'm tripping over your time, but you look so amazing. And we can be so much more than who we are. So much more than who we are. We can. Knee deep in while the world just falls apart. At the rise above it all. And we can. Got me saying, hey, girl, will you marry me? 2 kids in a house and live happily. I think we are so meant to be. But she says, wait, you forgot something. Every good thing comes to an end. At least it always happened to me. I'm telling you this now. You don't need to worry, 'cause I got this all down. And we get on together. And we can be so much more than who we are. So much more than who we are. We can. Knee deep in while the world just falls apart. At the rise above it all. And we can. Whoa, 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 so please forgive me. Been over your time, but you look so amazing. And we can be so much more than who we are. So much more than who we are. We can. Knee deep in while the world just falls apart. At the rise above it all. And we can. And we can be so much more than who we are. So much more than who we are. We can. Knee deep in while the world just falls apart. At the rise above it all. And we can.
It was such a perfect day on the water. Ty actually threw the drone up for a little while and got some of the best footage he's ever shot on the drone. Sadly though, we had our first incident of drone versus ocean, and the ocean won. Okay guys, now that Dave and Colleen have tested their sails and they are all set, they are out of here and are headed to the Bahamas to live their best life for a few months. And what that means for us is, not only is the 50 on their neighbor's dock, but now the 450 is sitting where Dave and Colleen's boat normally is. So we've got both boats on the dock at the same place, right next to each other, and we can bounce back and forth. So this week we are going to talk about windows and how to take care of your acrylic, perspex, whatever you want to call them, windows. So let's see what Ty's got going on. Oh my God, that noise is terrible. What are you doing?
Well, I got to figure out which grit I need to be able to start sanding the windows. So this week we're getting
It's gonna get complicated.
It is getting complicated. All right. So we've got the 50 and the 450 on the same dock. Hey, D1. All right, and hopefully one of you lovely people is going to end up with D1 because this is our new home to be D2. And in the process of getting D1 ready, we have the benefit of having D2 here to kind of, she's going to be kind of our guinea pig. And I did a little bit of experimentation a couple months ago with how to bring these windows back. Because when I was going to order these new windows, because, well, they're completely, I thought, well, I'll just order new ones. And they said, no, you don't have to. Just buff them out. It'll buff out. If you look over here, Kim, you see a spot where I didn't do a super great job because I probably only spent about 20 minutes.
So this window we are actually replacing. You can see there's a crack here. The port light is in great shape. It's just a little scuffed, but the window, you can see where the caulk line is all along here. We actually have this piece and we're going to replace it. So that's our guinea pig, but we still have to work over here because we have good glass in this area.
Yes.
To see what it should look like.
So it kind of tapers out. So with this boat, she was laying on her side, rubbing on the sand, which is, of course, where all these scratches came from. So I figured, since I'm just going to do a light buff on the windows on the 450, because they're actually in good shape, they just have some light scuffs here and there, and we want to make sure that she looks good, so the next owners have crystal clear viewing. I thought, hey, why not come over here and show you how this actually works? So there's a lot of grits of sandpaper, and that's probably one thing that scares everybody, because it scared me, is what grit of paper do you actually start with? It's a little windy today.
The fender's making noise.
And our big fenders. Sounds like somebody's farting. So the way you do that is you take the ugliest scratch that you've got and you use sandpaper starting with what you think it's going to be. An error on the side of caution here. If you think that looks like 100 grit, start with 120 or 150, and it's super simple. So watch. I'll show you. I'm going to pull this boat back in, and I'm going to take this spot right here. Okay? And the idea is that when I scuff this by hand in small circular motions, I want to see this scratch disappear. When that scratch disappears and looks like everything else around it, then we're in good shape. If, however, it is not strong enough or aggressive enough, when I sand around it, everything will turn white, but you'll still be able to see the scratch. That means the scratch is deeper than the new scratches. And sanding is really nothing more than finer and finer scratches in whatever you're trying to make look nice. So, let's start here, well, because I can reach it. We'll do this scratch right here.
Let me get it there.
I'm thinking it might be 80, but just to be safe, I'm gonna start with 120 first. And I'm just gonna hit this area right here. Now you can do this wet or dry. All right. So this scratch right here is the one I'm trying to get out. And if I do this right, all the scratches around it will kind of look just like that, and then it will slowly disappear. Come here, baby. So you can see how this is all creating one kind of level of haze, but that scratch is still there. So to get that deeper without creating dip marks in it, I'm gonna go just one grit heavier, and I'm gonna go to 80. And that seems, well, it seems aggressive because it is. It's getting close. Now, once I determine the scratch pattern level, I'm gonna switch to an actual sander instead of just doing this all by hand. But I don't wanna use a machine and be too aggressive and fuck up the windows. Well, any more than they are. All right. So it looks like they're all about the same. So now I'm going to switch to some 120.
That whole process looks frightening and terrible. It
Yeah.
doesn't look like you're making it better.
Doesn't, does it?
No.
All right, so I'm pretty confident with that. So I'm gonna get out the sander and then we're gonna put some juice to it.
And what sander are you gonna use?
I will show you. Still not sponsored, Festool. Come on, guys. I'm using my ETS 150. So this is a finish sander. The 3 means there's a 3mm stroke, so it's nice and tight and small. It is not designed to be aggressive. It is a finish sander. And I agree. Let's stick that 80 back on there and see what happens. You want to run this on slower speeds because you don't want to get the acrylic hot and melt it.
I found an upside to feeling down when I took a good look around. There's stuff to be learned, body to be turned, it seems. Yes, there is. You got to pay your
It's also important, I should be doing this with a rag. You want to clean all the dust off between grits. Because what can happen is you can get a piece of grit from a heavier or the coarser previous grit stuck in the paper, and then it'll cause scratches. So while you're sanding everything with 180, if there's pieces of 120 in here, it's still dragging around making 120 scratches.
So do you think you should get a rag?
Well, I got safety spits, so I think I'm good.
it's all cookies and cream.
220. See, the scuffs over here. This is what 220 would do on a mildly scuffed window. So what I did here was I took this section and just had some really light scuffs to it, like this, and I just hit that with 220. Now I'm gonna go, as I go up to 320 and 400, I'm just gonna step out a little bit based on a line there and there and there, so I know, hey, on the 450, I've got some real light scuffs here and there. What grit should I start with? Because obviously I don't want to start with something really heavy like we did on this boat. And just remember, whatever scratch you put in, you have to sand back out again.
So what grit is next?
240 is next.
But if you're willing to
You are going to want to either do this wet, which the water will do what I'm about to show you for you, or you can take your bare hand and you can run your bare hand over the softer grits, and the skin will, your soft skin will actually, well, not so soft, will peel all of the extra debris that you're sanding off on the sander.
and cream. You got to pay your dues before it's all cookies and cream.
20. Alright, this is really helping because the scratches on the 450 are so light, I really didn't have any idea where to start. It's kind of easy to start on something that's completely mucked up.
There's stuff to be learned, body to be turned, it seems. Yes, there is. You got to pay your dues before it's all cookies and creams.
Soft like a baby's butt.
Well, and even some of those scratches that were in there.
They're starting to work out, aren't they? These lines that you're seeing here are actually just from my rubber ring. So I can
funny. So I take my fingernail. Watch what happens when I burnish that with my fingernail. See how dark? It almost gets shiny in the cracks. We're getting close. And yes, there's a good breeze out here, so we're not breathing it in. It's just all going that direction. Yeah, that 800 you can see through easily. All right.
It's crazy. You can see all these scratches here.
Yep.
And everywhere where there are scratches over here before, of course, my hands are.
It's pretty crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
But if you're willing to roll up your sleeves,
All right,
1500.
yeah, let's hit some 15.
you can achieve. That's something else than what a fool believes. You got to pay your dues before it's all cookies and cream. You got to pay your dues before it's all cookies and cream.
Okay, what are you doing?
All right, so what I did was I just got some cleaner. I rinsed off all the heavy stuff. And I probably could have used water. I just had some glass cleaner in this rag. So now there's no debris on here right now. It's just the sanded. They call it perspex, but I think it's just like acrylic. Anyhow, now I'm gonna take the only compound that I've got currently is this orange, which is a coarser cut. But I know it's not as coarse as 2000 grit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to now hit this with this buffer, shake this up, and I really have no idea if this is going to be the right compound, if this is going to do it. I think I'm going to have to go with something that's going to be probably more polishing versus a sanding polish. Speed control that on this bad boy. I got a bit too much water on it. I think that's pretty damn good. And I just hit it for what, 10 seconds? I do think we might need the one step up. Come here, baby. I'm starting to see my reflection in it. It's looking pretty promising.
Holy crap! Wow, that window went from this pile of you know what
To that in like what, 20 minutes? Maybe 30? Now I've left a little bit of a haze around the perimeter. I think for my preference, I think I'd like to have the next level up in compound. I'm gonna hit this right here again to see if it looks the same as the window next to it. Throw a little bit more compound on here.
We kind of need that there.
Yeah.
Wow.
I take that back. That's the right compound. And now you can't even see the difference.
Wow.
And you can see there's a scratch there, and how it's just, we'll sand this one out again. I don't know if you can make that out. Maybe come across at a different angle. But it kind of just softens the edge, and you can still see it.
Oh, it's hard to see in this.
Kind of hard to see.
Oh, there it is.
There it is.
Yeah.
But that is a deep scratch, but after you polish the edges of it and round
God,
it.
you won't even know.
No. Pretty crazy, huh?
That is slick shit.
Brand spanking new. And all I did, you guys, is just this part right here. I really just focused on from here to here. And you can make it look new again. It's pretty crazy.
All right. It's time to go over to D1
That's right, let's go do it.
and get her windows pretty.
I might get to do this one in the rain.
Oh, we'll see. Wet sanding, right?
Wet sanding. That doesn't mean that I'm wet when I'm sanding.
Semantics.
I'm really, really pleased with that, Kim. That looks so good.
It is amazing.
Look at the reflection.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, let's clean it up and take it next door.
What you doing there, babe?
Well, just when I thought I was done taping lines, the 450 has this black trim on it
On what?
on the windows that are around the salon. And so we're gonna buff them out, and we did our test run on the 50 yesterday. So today I have to tape this black trim that is all around the windows on the 450 so that we can use the sander and sand all of the scratches before we go back through and then buff everything. So the black part can get buffed, but if we sand it, it will no longer be a black trim, it'll be a sanded mess. So protecting that from sanding, sand, and then buff everything. And it'll be nice and shiny and pretty and ready.
Sweet.
But I have to wear readers, 'cause I'm blind. All right, the windows are taped, so tell me what you're doing and why.
So I'm just gonna buff. I just finished that one, and I'm just gonna buff this one. It doesn't need to be sanded. So once I hit this and buff this, then I'll peel the tape off and I'll buff all the borders as well, which will just take a little bit of that oxidation off. Just do a couple square feet at a time.
Why do you just do a couple square feet at a time? Why wouldn't you just do the whole window?
Because I can't put enough material on the buffer, and I want to be able to get the compound on, get it buffed, and get it off before it dries.
So it's
that
kind of like
still
waxing
liquid.
a car. You don't want to do too much at one time because otherwise
Yeah.
it'll dry on there.
It's kind of like that.
Ah, makes sense.
And so that's why I just put a little bit on. I'm using this razor blade because apparently I had a couple paint speckles that I didn't see before.
When we painted?
From when we painted, little bitty tiny speckles. So this window's probably the worst one. This side of the window is in perfectly good shape. It doesn't need anything.
Well,
But-
except buffing.
Yeah, except for buffing. This one, there's this light scratch right here that has been bugging me since the day we bought the boat. And then there's these two deeper gouges, which I never really noticed, or 3 sets up here. I don't know if you can see that or not. I never notice it because, well, one, it's not white, and there's always a curtain in front of it.
It's all cookies and cream. Some people want their dinner cooked and served, and somehow that is what they deserve. Narcissism with a runaway self-esteem. But let me tell you, you got to pay your dues.
Right, so this is where all the big scratches were.
That is unbelievable. So cool.
Just as good as new. Pretty awesome, huh? There's that big scratch that came down here.
Yeah. Those big gouges that were over here are gone.
Completely. It's all about having the right tools. Oh, speaking of which, I know we covered this, but just in case. Using Festool ETS EC 150. The 3 is the millimeter of stroke, which also has it on here. They make a 3 and a 5. So for this, for finish sanding, you want to have a 3. We're using the Festool polisher. This thing is a beast. It comes in 2 models. It comes in a 14 and a 17, I believe. The 14 is 1400 RPM, 17, obviously 1700 RPM. The 1400 actually has more torque to it, so if you need to get in and break down oxidation or something like that, that's what this is for. I'm using an orange pad, which is their medium cut, and this is the Festool speed cut that I'm using. So this is considered their coarse, I guess, but it's 50-10, which means it's basically 5,000 grit. They make a 10,000, I'm sorry, a 9,000 and an 11,000. But you can see, even the 5,000 makes it crystal clear. So I think that we don't have to go anything beyond this. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Some sandpaper, polisher, some compound, and a microfiber. And you too can make your windows look brand new. Unfortunately, it doesn't slice, dice, or chop, but it makes windows pretty.
Makes windows pretty.
That's right. So you guys see what I'm doing. I started at 1. I put the compound on, started at 1 just to help work it into the pad, and then I run it up to 3, 4, 5, or 6, depending on where I'm at. The faster I move it, the higher speed I can go. The slower you're gonna move the pad, the slower the speed, because you can heat this acrylic up and melt it if you're not careful. So we just wanna keep the pad moving so we don't generate too much heat. All right, guys, that is gonna wrap up this week's episode. I hope you learned something and we showed you something cool with taking windows that are scratched with a sander and a buffer and bringing them back to life. And I hope you enjoyed the sailing as much as we did. I'm sorry I didn't bring good footage and I dropped the drone in the drink, but there's always next time, right? If you like this content and you feel like you're learning something and you enjoy it, please like the video and give us a comment below. I'm trying to respond to as many as I can. If you want to see more of this, hit subscribe and that bell so you'll get notification of the next video coming out. Until then, thank you guys so much. Have a great weekend and we'll see you again next time.